We're going to cross live to Redstorm right now. Terry, creative director and lead game designer. Keith, how you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Very good.
You ready for this one?
You?
I'm very well. I'm very well. I'm itching to go because we've got some really cool stuff to go through. Do you guys want to start with Resistance? I know people kind of have a little bit of a clue about what this is, but who were you thinking of when you were like, we're going to put this thing out? What's your target gamer for that?
PVE people.
Yeah, anyone who has enjoyed PVE in this game so far.
Yep.
Okay, so that's kind of the theme for the 1.8, separating, you know, we've had Last Stand, we've had a bit of both, and it seems that we're taking a bit of a turn into pure PVE, pure PvP, right?
Yeah,
All
exactly. Right. You know, with the Westside Pure stuff we went over a couple weeks ago, there's a lot of PVE stuff, you know, in the open world, and then that kind of leads you to Resistance, which is the big new PVE activity. Awesome.
So one of the things that we've talked about when in these types of modes that people are familiar with is the infinite nature of it. Is it truly infinite? Can you win? Can you finish it?
That's cool. We both took a drink at the same time.
I know. We timed it.
Perfect.
Yes, it is truly infinite.
All right.
There's a series of difficulty points the player will move through, which you can talk about, Keith, but we get to the point where you go through all that, and then we begin to buff the AI, you know, through a combination of toughness, DPS, and
exotic ammo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are just in sync right now.
Wow, you guys are perfect. So we're going to just show a video here in a second. But before we get to that, are there any checkpoints in this? So is it one life to live, start again type thing, or?
It is it's all about the group wipe and keeping each other alive, or if you're a solo player, the one life to live scenario, right? It's all about starting from the beginning and kind of building up a strategy to survive into later waves.
Awesome.
I mean, essentially, you know, you're moving through difficulties of the game, right? You know, I don't want to say too much, right? But you go through the hard difficulty AI, right? Then you go through the challenging AI, right? And so you're working through those, and if you die, you know, on challenging, then okay, you're going to do the hard one again, but
it's about going through those waves. You'll get really proficient at it, and then making better decisions early in the early game to help you survive when you hit those legendary and what we're calling endless difficulty.
You'll need it.
Because you will need it. Yep.
Awesome. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second, but I want to show people what this is about. So we've got a video that Peter's going to queue up in just a second. Can we take a look at that now? Would be awesome. Okay, here we go. We are looking at a part of the map that people may be familiar with if they tuned in last week. This is part of the Westside Pier environment, correct? What are we seeing on screen right now?
This is outside the Intrepid.
Okay.
And yeah, you have seen this before. We didn't want to necessarily show you everything just yet.
All right.
A lot of this mode is about exploring and opening up new parts. You will catch some things here, though. If you kind of look around, you'll see like these big flashing AR panels. Those are kind of calling out doors that you can use to open up new parts of the map. So
that have
you'll see one
in them.
Yeah. Those will have all sorts of new things for you to find, new places to fight, places to hold up.
All right, so it's not just about killing endless waves of AI. What other things will people find themselves doing in there?
I mean, it's about finding the best way to survive. That's the crux of it. We give you a lot of tools. Keith, go for it.
Sure. So, you know, people who played Last Stand will see that AI are dropping shade tech here, just like they do in Last Stand. But we've really like blown out what you can spend it on. So we've brought back the fortifications along with a new type. There's a support station fortification you can open up. But we've also expanded the functionality of them. So now you can repair and upgrade your fortifications. So over the life of a session, you can dump more shade tech into these and take them, kind of level them up alongside you, and they'll start getting special buffs. Like the turrets will start lighting AI on fire. The pulse will start giving you increased crit chance, things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, but after you upgrade, though, you have to pay attention to these things, because if they get destroyed, which they will, you have to start that upgrade process again.
Yeah, so it's, you know, once again, it's about making hard choices. Where do you want to hold up? What will help your teams build diversity? What helps you push further into later waves?
Yeah.
Awesome. We've got a little bit more of this video to go. They're looking at a boss wave right now. I saw another wave in there as well, which was, I think, a critical wave. How do those differ from the regular ones?
Yeah, so there's a number of these like special waves, and there's some cadence to this. So you'll start to sort of get familiar, but then there's a lot of kind of a little bit of randomness to keep you on your toes. Okay. So every 5 waves, you'll hit a boss wave, and that's how it's going to go up on the PTS, and we'll keep iterating based on feedback. But every 5 waves, you hit this boss wave. The bosses drop loot like they do in the open world, but it's also kind of like a milestone for you. So when you beat the boss wave, you'll see here, that's kind of a little mini mission complete. So you can never truly win this mode, but there are these moments where it's like, we did it. We pushed further than we've ever got before, and you're rewarded for that.
Right.
So is it fair to say that... Sorry, you go.
Oh, no. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, is it fair to say that while there are no life checkpoints, there's kind of loot checkpoints? Is that loot that you get from the bosses safe?
Yeah, the loot that you get from the bosses, those are like, the in-world drops are all personal to each player. But you're also going to get, like you just saw there, the direct-to-inventory rewards. And he got a resistance cache tier 1. So as you climb higher waves, you can go to tier 2, tier 3, all the way up to tier 5. Yep. And once you hit those tier 5, that's basically your best chance to get classified drops and exotic drops pretty much anywhere in the game. But it's going to be hard to hit those higher waves.
Awesome.
I think it's also worth noting that the bosses in boss waves, there can be multiple bosses that spawn, and as we've mentioned before on, I think, various sources, you're going to see bosses from main missions that spawn. They'll have a chance to, Pharaoh will roll in there with his homies, and
that's awesome.
And Luray will be there, and they'll drop their loot. So you'll have an opportunity to get these things that I just never have the opportunity to seemingly get, even though I've farmed Luray a billion times.
I saw someone in chat posted about the time limit that people saw on specific waves. How does that work? What happens if you run out of time on a wave?
So a lot of these waves, like the critical objectives, will have timers, and also the bosses have timers. They test different things. The critical objective is kind of testing you, kind of moving through the map and completing some objective. The boss is kind of a race for you to kill that boss, or how many bosses there are in the map at that time. And if you fail that, that's a party wipe. Yeah. So it's all about kind of getting prepared for those moments.
Yeah, DPS check. Hey, I think it's worth noting too that you can't just dogpile on the boss, or there's going to be, the what do you call them? The word I'm looking for is the ads. How about let's just go gamey?
Yep. Sure.
They're going to continue to spawn. Yep. So it's not like, all right, just let the boss walk around because it's Joe Pharaoh and he's slow as hell, right?
Yeah.
It's,
okay, that's cool.
His support is going to continue to spawn, and not until you kill him will you have the opportunity to clear it. So it's about coordination and checking your DPS and strategy.
Yeah, and just like everything else in Resistance, okay, wave 5, we're going to hit a boss. You don't know what that boss is going to be. You don't know what the ads that are going to support him are going to be, or where you're going to have that fight. So it's really about kind of keeping on your toes.
Yeah. Have you guys had any, in your testing experience, any brutal combinations that have shown up that you were like, wow, okay. All right.
Yeah, there's some new bosses in here as well that people will find. Some bosses that like to deal out a little bit of shock.
Oh man!
And I had the shock boss with some shock turrets. That was a pretty brutal combination. But those are the types of things we'll be tuning over the PTS.
Yeah, and shock drones.
Shock drones. Yeah.
Nice. Just for a little bit of context, when you guys have been playing through it and stuff, what's the furthest you've gotten? Because if you're saying that there's difficulties hard, challenging, legendary, that would be up to what, wave 15? And then it starts the next difficulty scaling after that, right?
Once you hit 15, you've essentially cleared the legendary difficulty. And again, we're still changing these values, and you'll try it on the PTS, and we'll get feedback on that. But right now, it's once you clear wave 15, you've passed legendary, and we start buffing the AI. And it's very clear what buffs they have. So you'll know what you're fighting.
Okay. Can you also play this mode solo for people who maybe want to do it with solo or smaller groups? What's the deal there?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I actually think a lot of people will want to play it solo, and it's a real test of your own build, and you can still push pretty far.
Yeah, you just better have the right build.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Can we just go back to rewards for a second? You talked about how every 5 there's a boss, every 5 waves who gets loot. When you end a resistance cache we saw earlier will drop. How are those scaled?
So Right now, the way we kind of have it set up is that each 10 waves kind of pushes you into a new rewards tier, right? So you can go all the way to wave 50. We have never hit wave 50, but I'm sure
someone's going to do
will.
it.
Is that a challenge? Is that confirmed?
It'll be like a day one thing, and then we'll have to tune in to make it harder.
We're going to have to track world firsts on that for sure.
Yeah. But, you know, once you hit wave 50, you're kind of in this, like, resistance cache tier 5. And each different cache has a kind of a better and better loot table. So this, you know, this means you're going to be able to get the exotics and classifieds from everything in the whole pool, and it'll keep kind of narrowing down. And that includes some of all the new exotics we're adding.
What?
Oh, I thought you were just going to brush over that one. Just a casual new exotics.
Whatever, just like, oh, by the way, the new exotics.
Yeah.
New exotics.
FYI.
When you say new exotics, do you mean weapons or gear?
Weapons.
Weapons.
New exotic
4.
weapons. 4 of them?
Yeah.
All right.
4 weapons.
Will you be able to tell us what maybe gun families those are in?
Sure. So there's a new exotic weapon set, and that's in the MMR family. So you have these 2 MMRs you can equip and kind of be like the ultimate sniper.
Hey, hold on, gamer guy.
Yeah.
Tell people what MMR is in case they don't know.
Marksman.
Thank you. Marksman rifle.
Are either of those bolt action? Just
no.
They're not bolt action, but there's plenty of bolt action love in 1.8. There's some good stuff coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's confirmed.
All right.
Then there's also an LMG, because I love LMGs. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of a okay.
No. And then you can talk about the last one.
And then there's a new SMG as well.
A new SMG. Awesome.
Yeah, and these will all be up on that PTS, start of the PTS.
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head what weapon, what type of SMG it is? Just for me?
Yeah. MPX.
MPX, yeah.
Oh.
It's based on the Sig Sauer.
Okay. Well, that sounds interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. I did not expect that. So you talked a little about 2 weeks ago when we talked, the dynamic spawner that you guys are introducing for Westside Peers. Is that one of the things that you guys are leveraging? And one of the concerns that I think people have when they're doing this type of random content, is it random every time? So for example, am I going to be playing it and then when I do wave 4 again, is it going to be the same wave 4 as I had last time, or is it going to be the same that I'll have recognized, or how is that spawner working behind the scenes?
So we want to put a bit of predictability in it. So, you know, on repeat sessions, you can start anticipating things. So like early on in the early waves, there's more predictability, right? You know, that say wave 3 is going to be your first critical objective. And wave 5 is going to be a boss. And you know, wave 6 might be the wave that always introduces drones. You're going to fight a lot of drones in that wave. So there's these kind of milestones that you'll start to pick up on and make sessions feel familiar. But within that, there's still a bit of randomness. And then once you get higher and higher and start climbing into the higher endless waves, then it becomes a very kind of dynamic, randomized experience.
Okay. Yeah, we've injected some consistency, but like you said, you know, we leveraged that new spawner to make it so the next time you play through, yeah, there's going to be differences. You know, you might not see any Rikers, for example, or it might just be all rushers. Good luck, have fun. You know, like, so there's a lot of dynamic elements to this game mode for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so just moving on to the play spaces that are available for this mode. We've seen one of them, which people had seen previously. How many are there, and how big are they going to be?
3. There's 3 total. They're called, there's the Carrier, right? And then we have one called the Pier 93, and another one called the Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are based upon sort of the foundations of, we built on the foundations of the PvP maps that we made specifically. So they're in Westside Piers, but they're like 5 times bigger than the PvP maps.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to explore.
So say like on what you guys saw there, that Pier Space is one of the early sections that you unlock in the Carrier map, but you can also get inside the Intrepid, get into the engine rooms, things like that.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so for people that are looking to, when they get into the PTS, how would they start a session? How can you queue for one of these things, or how would you start getting into a resistance mode?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of built it to be a new mission type, essentially, right? So you have your main missions, and incursions, and now you'll have the resistance missions. So it works very similar to that. You just kind of walk in from the open world, and it kicks off, and you can matchmake at the meeting stone out front. So it's very familiar to what people are expecting.
Okay, cool. One other question that I had, do you need to be level 30 to do it? As with survival, you don't. You can get into that a little bit earlier. What about for this?
Yeah, you have to be level 30.
Okay.
Yep. The Westside Piers, it's kind of like that end game open world space.
All right.
And these are kind of nestled back there.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm sure people will have a lot of questions about resistance, and people will be able to experience it on the PTS very soon. What was that? 26th of September. And we're looking forward to seeing what you guys think about it as well. If you have ideas or those sorts of things, please get involved in conversations on the forums, wherever you want to.